Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be painting simple Father's Day cards. So let's jump right in. Okay, so today we are making Father's Day cards and I'm going to give you 3 different options and ideas that you could use. Thinking about it, there are tons of ideas, but I'm going to go with a more outdoorsy theme for these simple cards. So we are just going to jump right in. So what you're going to need is some sort of watercolor paper. I'm using my leftover B watercolor paper. I'm running low, but I have some left. And I'm just going to actually use this for the card. So I'm just going to be using, I think they're 9 by 12 sheets. Nope, that doesn't make sense. 6 by 9? I don't know what they are. The sheets I have of B watercolor paper, and I'm going to use them as the actual card. So I'm just folding them in half. If you don't have this watercolor paper, you can always just use whatever watercolor paper you have and, you know, cut it out and glue it onto cardstock. That's another option. But I'm just using this because it's what I have and it's easy. So I have my B watercolor paper, my Winsor Newton professional watercolors, my Princeton snap brush in a size 6 round. I also have a pencil and an eraser you're going to want to work with, some sort of black ink pens to write Happy Father's Day on it after, water, paper towel, and I'm also going to be using this white ink for one of them. So if you have a white gel pen or white gouache, that will work too. Okay, so let's start with some fish. Now, not every dad's gonna like the same thing, but I thought fish were a really cute idea, and I've also never painted that. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do 4 different colored fish, and we're just gonna try and make it fun and easy. So I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna just draw some long ovals to start. 1, you can do them different sizes. 2, 3, maybe a smaller one down here. 4. And we're going to write Happy Father's Day in between those 4 fish. Okay, so we have our oval shapes and we're just going to do the outline. So one little fin at the top. At the back, you're just going to do the tail, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Another little fin there. This one can be facing the other way, like that. Maybe there's another fin. I don't know. Not a fish expert, but if you are, that's great. You can do a little divot for the mouth here. Okay. And if you really want to get specific on certain types of fish, you can do that. I don't know much about fish, but we're just going to make them colorful and pretty, and I thought they were cute. And I've been recently watching Finding Nemo with my son, so I thought it might be a cute idea. Okay. Tail. I don't know. Just making it loose. Not worrying too much about it. Then a small other fish here. And I'm just changing the directions of which way they're going. Okay? Okay, so once you have your outlines, you can erase any lines that you don't need. I'm not worrying too much about the outlines for this. So there we go, we have our outlines. Now we're just gonna have fun with some colors. So you can pick any color you want. I'm gonna just start off with this gray color I have here. Really light wash, and I'm just gonna go over the whole fish. And the great thing about the fish is that you can really just play with color and let the wet on wet do its thing. So I have a little bit of gray there. I'm gonna grab some, let's do some like Payne's Gray, a dark fish here. My Payne's Gray is a bit more on the blue side. So if you want to grab some indigo, that works too. So there's our Payne's Gray. And then I'm going to grab some orange or like red to contrast it. A little bit on the fin up here too, like that. And maybe some little dots like that. There's one. Super simple, and they're cute just because of the wet on wet. Let's do like maybe like a yellowy fish. So light wash to start. But we're just putting down that base. And you can definitely look up some ideas for fish for references if there's specific fish you want to do. I'm just kind of winging it here and having fun with it. Let's get some green on there. We can do some dots. change up the green, maybe get a darker green. Maybe a bit more of a brighter yellow. Do some lines on the tail. Maybe a bit of red. Grab some WINSOR red here. Like that. There's another fish. Let's grab another bit of light gray or light blue. And when you're doing wet on wet, make sure it doesn't pool. You don't have too much water on your brush, because then it'll be hard to distribute the water evenly. So just push it around, make sure it's nice and evenly wet. Let's grab some light blue here, no, I think that's a cerulean blue. Like that. Grab a bit more of a cobalt blue here. Change it up. Bit of green. Let's do a brighter green. Maybe a bit more darker blue in there. Hold on. Nope, there we go. Actually, I think that was my indigo that I used. That wasn't Payne's Gray, that was indigo. Do some lines like that. And then let's do like an orangey brown fish. I don't know. Just grabbing whatever brown color I have here, laying it down. Like that. Gonna grab some orange, some cadmium orange. Gonna grab a little bit of red again. Maybe just a little bit of green. Do some green dots or something. Like so, like that, okay? And so you're gonna wait for that to dry, and then we can come back and just do some really quick eyes and the writing, but that's really basically it. It's super easy. So we'll come back and do a bit more detail in a little bit, but I'm gonna put this to the side for it to dry. The next card we are going to do, I'm just gonna take my B watercolor paper here. And if you're ever wondering what side to use for watercolor paper, the more textured side. So this side is a bit more smooth. You wanna use the more textured side. Okay, now for this one, you're gonna need some sort of circular object, okay? So I'm just gonna use this roll of tape I have here. Maybe not that one. Let's see, do I have a bigger one? No, I do not. No, this is good. That's a bit too big. That's fine. And we're just going to trace a bit of a circle like that. Easy peasy. And I'm just gonna erase it just a bit, just so we can slightly see the circle, because we don't want those lines. And I am going to do, I think, let's do like a grayish background. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over the top of the circle with a really, really light wash of gray, Payne's Gray. Oops, I have a bit of brown on my brush, that's okay. Okay, so just about to a bit more than halfway down the circle. And we're gonna do kind of like a misty forest scene in this circle. So I'm gonna grab some sap green. We're gonna make more of an earthy green here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of cadmium yellow and a bit of burnt umber. to make a more earthy green. And we're gonna do some misty forests in the background. So because we're working on wet paper, it's gonna kind of bleed, okay? So you're gonna get these kind of bleeding lines, and you're just gonna bring them down, just do some horizontal lines. So vertical lines first, and then horizontal lines. Something to keep in mind, wherever you lift off your brush, you are going to get kind of a bit of a bloom. So if I were to lift my brush off here, you're gonna get a thicker line or a thicker part right there. So make sure you're lifting your brush off in the middle, okay? Because you want the edges to be thinner, if that makes sense. Okay, just really rough, misty forest. You can have some really tall ones like that. Okay, just about halfway down because we're gonna do some more in the foreground. Okay, and if you wanna just clean up your edges, you can do that too. Whoopsie. Totally up to you. Okay, so let that first layer dry, and then I'm gonna dry it with my heat tool So let the first layer dry, and then we'll come back and do the next layer on top. Okay, so now that that first layer is dry, I'm gonna add a bit more green just to change up the hue of the green. And we're gonna do the same kind of thing, but because we're working on dry, it's gonna be sharper trees. So really light pressure with the tip of your brush. I'm gonna do some vertical lines. Okay, they can come down a bit further so you can see those misty trees in the back. And then these are gonna have a bit more detail. So you have some of your vertical lines, very, very light. You're gonna do some branches that are pointed up towards the top. And then as you come down, they're gonna start pointing down. Okay? And then by the time you get to the bottom, you want them to be kind of, blended in. Like that. We're just really kind of focusing on the tops of the trees. So little bits that are pointing up and then down. You can just blend it in. Try and get some of those branches nice and thin as you can. Okay. You can use a smaller brush too if you want. One thing I see people do with these trees, and it doesn't make it look any more realistic, is they go and just go side like this, like side to side, and that just doesn't give the realism that you want. So do the first couple pointing up and then slightly pointing down, kind of jagged edged. And you can just drop in more color in there. Okay, and actually you can bring this green all the way down and finish that circle. We are gonna do more down there, but just so the layer is not totally uneven, gotta make a bit more of that brown or that green. So I'm using a size 6 brush for this, but you might even want to use a smaller brush. It'll just be easier to get those really nice, light, thin lines. Okay, so once that layer is done, you can wait for it to dry and then work on the next layer. Okay, so now we're gonna work on our next layer since this is dry. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to my smaller brush. This is a size 2. Also, I'm not going to make those initial lines down because as you see, they're still quite prominent. It's okay for this layer because we're going to be going over it, so you won't notice it as much. For the next one, we're just going to do one at a time. So I'm just going to take my size 6 brush, grab my sap green. We're going to make a bit more of a darker green this time. Again, grab my burnt umber. Then I'm going to grab this like perline green. We're not going to make it too dark, just a shade darker than the last one. Okay, and you're just going to do the same thing, but it's going to come down a bit further this time. Okay, so do your vertical line. Oops, I got my hand in my paint. And then do your little branches coming down like that. I think we're going to go a bit darker. Okay, you want it to be darker than the last layer. Okay, so there is our next layer. And then we're gonna do just one more layer of even darker trees at the bottom and then we'll be done. Okay, now that it's dry, we can do our last layer. I'm actually gonna mix a bit of black with this dark perline green to get a really nice, rich, dark green. Okay, and we're just gonna do our last layer of trees down below. Okay, and there you go. There's your last layer. And if you want, you can take a little bit of gray and just do a couple birds flying in the background like that. Okay, and then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of a border. So I think I'm going to take gold. I have a little bit of gold here. Just do a nice shiny border and you just activate that. And I'm just going to do it freehand. But I think the gold really looks nice with the trees, the green trees. And try and move your whole arm, not your wrist. It just helps with straighter lines. And don't worry about it being not straight enough. I think there's something really cute about a non-straight-ish freehand line. Does that make sense? I think it just gives it a bit more character than having perfectly straight lines, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay, and there you go, and it just adds a little bit of something extra to it, and you can always leave it like that or write Happy Father's Day on it. I think we're gonna write Happy Father's Day on it after. I'm just gonna let it dry. Let's quickly go back to our fish, and we can just add some eyes to our fish. Just little boop, little circles. Maybe you can outline some fins a bit, give some lines to them. Just really easy, don't stress over it. I don't know how many fins these guys have. You could probably look up a reference photo for sure first before just winging it, but I mean, especially if your dad's quite the fisherman. I wouldn't want to do it wrong. Maybe I'll grab a bit of blue and just outline some of them. Give a bit more texture, some more dots or something. Yeah, that looks cute. Whatever you feel looks best, okay? So that's a little bit of detail for that. And now we're gonna move on to our last card, which I think will be really cute. Okay, so we fold it in half, and now we are going to draw a bear. We've done this before. I have another tutorial on how to draw a bear, but we're gonna do it again, and I'm gonna try and make this as simple as I can. So we're gonna start off with kind of like a bean shape. So it's gonna be a little bit thinner over here. You're gonna do a little bit of a dip, and it's gonna get bigger back here, okay? Then you're gonna do a circle attached to the top of that bean, or the side of that bean right beside it. And you're gonna do kind of like a little trapezoid shape. So it's gonna be a little longer on this side, come down on an angle, and shorter on the bottom. And that's for the snout, okay? And you're just gonna connect the head to the body. And then you're gonna come down here from the side of the bean and just do like a little leg. You can kind of come in on an angle like this, and then come out like that. You can come in and do another one if you want. Another paw like that. And then the back legs are a bit bigger, so come right from the back of the butt down, and then come in on an angle like this, little paw here. And this one can just be standing together like that, okay? And then a little ear like so. Okay, so now you can go around it in your ink. So if you have a black ink pen, just a regular one, that's fine. I'm using my Tombow mono drawing pen in a size 03, but you can use whatever you like. And you're just gonna go around the shape of that bear. We're just gonna try and make it as simple as possible. Like that. A little lump on the back, big bottom. Come down for the front of this leg, okay, because this leg's in front. Down for the belly, this front leg here, like that. And then this leg is behind, like that, okay? And we're just going to erase all the inside lines. Okay, so now we are going to take our brown and we're just gonna fill in the whole bear. And with this one, you're gonna need the white ink after, okay? So just keep that in mind. I'm actually gonna use my bigger brush for this just so I can cover more ground. So I'm using my size 12, and I'm just gonna start off with some burnt umber, maybe a bit of sepia. If you don't have brown watercolor, you can mix any contrasting or complementary colors. So red and green's a good choice to mix together. That will make a nice brown, okay? Just a little tip there. And you're just gonna fill the whole thing inside the lines as best as you can with paint. So just a light wash to start. Okay, so we got our light wash. Now I'm gonna go in with more pigment and just start dropping it in to get some nice blooms for like wet on wet technique. I just really like the way that looks. Okay, you can grab some darker brown, add that in there. however you want to do it. Just want it a little bit darker all around, I think. Go a bit darker underneath, some of the back paws, around the back, like that, and just let the watercolor do its thing. Okay, and then we're gonna wait for it to completely dry. Okay, and now this one is completely dry. We can write Papa on it for Papa Bear, and we're gonna do it in white ink, but if you want to with pencil first, you can do this. So I'm gonna write P, I know it's hard to see, A, P, A. Like that. I'm going to take my size 2 brush, get my white ink, and I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to try and go darker on the downstroke. Not darker, heavier on the downstroke, so it's a bit thicker, so it's kind of like calligraphy. Oh goodness. And depending on the ink that you have, you might need to do a couple coats just to make sure it's pretty white, but that's about it. So once you're done all of your watercolor illustrations, feel free to write Happy Father's Day. I like to go over with pencil first and then with ink to make sure it's centered. I also like to change up the fonts. Feel free to add some detail to your little bear, some outlining to the word Papa, some grass, and that's about it. I hope your fathers enjoy your beautiful watercolor cards. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram for even more. Happy Father's Day, guys. Bye!